Hi, and welcome. I'm the Reverend Sheena Metal, and this is Saturday Night Spiritual. We're here the second Saturday of every month at 5 o'clock Pacific Time. I am the Interfaith Staff Pastor here at Founders Metropolitan Community Church, and I am honored to be here coming to you from my home in Huntington Beach, California. Every month, we discuss many things, including what it means to be interfaith, and then a message for you that comes from Spirit through me to you about what it is that folks are feeling and folks need help with right now. Everybody needs a little help, and sometimes just hearing a message, right? Something that you've been thinking and haven't said out loud can help you. It's funny because I almost never know what the sermon's going to be. And then sometimes I'm in a quiet place, right, a couple of days before, and Spirit just sort of drops the message down into my periphery. And that's kind of what happened to me yesterday. I live down about an hour south of Los Angeles most of the time now. I have a home in LA as well, and I travel back and forth between my two worlds. But since the pandemic, I've mostly been here at the beach where I grew up. And yesterday I had a quiet place. It's Long Beach Pride this weekend, so I was there last night at a Pride celebration. Afterwards, taking kind of a quiet minute to myself, and then here comes the message for what the sermon is supposed to be about. So this month we're going to be talking about how Spirit wants you to know, right? God wants you to know. Higher power, goddess, great spirit, whatever you call your higher power, wants you to know that you are not alone. This is so important for you to know this. You are not alone. That is the message for you this month. So let's, first of all, like we always do, talk a little bit about where we are and why we're here. This is foundersmcc.org is where you can find us, also on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. And then if you want to go back and find all of the Saturday Night Spiritual services all in one place, just click on the links. That will take you to all of the Founders MCC pages. I have a page. It's Rev Sheena, foundersmcc.com. And that is a part of my website, which is sheenametalspiritual.com. If you get lost, you can go there. That's the main site. But that'll take you directly to Saturday Night Spiritual. Also at SaturdayNightSpiritual.com is our community page. Please sign up there and get to know us better. I would love that. Everything in life is about community. If you break down the teachings of Christ, if you break down the teachings of Buddha, they all break down to the same thing, which is community, connection, and love. Everything Jesus said can be thrown into one of those three categories: community, connection, and love. Now, connection can mean to other humans, it can mean to your higher power, but it is still about connection. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about community, talking about how you are not alone, and also about connection, because a lot of why you're not alone is because you're connected to God. That's why you're not alone. Ever, no matter what, you are always connected to the everything, which is the things of the earth plane, right? The earth, humans, your animal companions, your service that you do for the world, your physical heartbeat is beating at the same time every other living thing's heartbeat is beating. But also, you're connected to the ethers, to the universe, to the angelic realm, to spirit, to your spirit guides, to those that have passed that you love. You are never alone. And that's the nice thing about knowing that you're part of our wonderful, progressive, all-welcome congregation here at Founders MCC. And all the churches within the MCC denomination. Founders is what my mama used to call a y'all come church. My mom was from Kentucky, and even though she'd lived most of her life in New York and California, sometimes that Kentucky accent came back, and she did say y'all. I like the idea of a y'all come church. As an interfaith pastor, just the nature of the word interfaith, if you looked up interfaith in the Webster's dictionary, a synonym would be y'all come. I believe in a place where everyone is welcome. I went to a party last night for Long Beach Pride, and I know the promoter. She had done my radio show, and I liked when she was speaking about the event and the importance of it, using the word inclusion, inclusivity, right? That we are not in the queer community, gays and lesbians and bisexuals and trans people and intersex people and two-spirit people and pansexual people and our allied straight friends and asexual folks. We are all of those things. But we are also a community, an inclusive community. And the biggest inclusive community as human beings that we are a part of on the earth is the human race. That is our community. And that's what Interfaith is really about. So I have a very dear friend. His name is Bill Fund. And Bill has performed at many of the Saturday Night Spiritual services when we were before the pandemic, when we were all together, and even after the pandemic, when it was just 4 of us in the church. He was one of the people that would come down and often perform. He's now in New York taking care of his mama, and we send him love every day. So Bill sort of grew up culturally Jewish, not really practicing, it was just what his family was, and he was. And then in the middle of his life, he met some folks that were very Jewish, and he became much more devout in nature. But yet he would still come and perform at my services. So I talked about this a lot when I was on stage at the pulpit in the church, when he was on stage performing, that, I don't look at Bill and I think, there's my Jewish friend. I just look at Bill and I think, there's my friend. And I don't look at Bill and think, well, he's a man and I'm a woman. I just look at Bill and I think, here's my friend. And that's sort of the idea of interfaith, right? That it's not us and them, it's we. It's not, that's my friend and here's how they're different. And it's not even, that's my friend and here's how we're the same. It's just, that's my friend. And I think if you're working to point out similarities, although it's better than pointing out differences, it's a step in evolution and you're getting there. You're also pointing out the similarities because you're understanding the differences. So under this beautiful, loving, benevolent umbrella that is God, we are all who we are. Right? So if you saw us all under one giant umbrella, let's say one of those big, giant state fair, Ringling Brothers circus kind of umbrella tents. All of the people that are Jewish aren't supposed to stand in this corner. The Muslims are here. The Christians are back here. The atheists don't even get to be in the tent. It's not that. There is a tent. And we are all standing under it. And by being in this tent, we agree that we are part of the human race and that we are here to encourage and accept and meld with the other living things under the tent. In this case, all humans. We're using a human example. It works well if you add animals too, but we're just doing humans today. There's not I will be under the tent, but I won't stand where the Christians are. Or I will be under the tent, but only people of faith, no atheists in the tent. No, it's we, with a capital W, we are all standing in the tent together because this is our tent. We, the human race, have declared this is our tent, and we are all here together. Now, we are all doing common things for the betterment of the community that is living under the tent. Not, we're under the tent, but, the Christian folks are over here, and the Mormon folks are over here, and the Scientologists are back here, and the Seventh-day Adventists are over here, and everyone's doing their own thing, and no one's talking to each other. No, we are all under the tent, interacting, melding together for the betterment of the entire community under the tent. And that is what interfaith spirituality is. It's not, you can't be Jewish anymore, or you're no longer a Muslim, or you have to say you're not a Baptist anymore. It's not that. You can be that, or be two of those things, or three of those things, or whatever it is you want to be. But you are part of the interfaith community because you are a human being and you are under that tent. And by entering into the tent, you are agreeing to participate as a member of the human race with everyone else. This is why I believe interfaith spirituality will save the world. Because imagine what the world would be like if everybody lived and loved each other under that tent and respected everything everybody was, but didn't expect anybody to give up who they were and be just like them. And that's the beautiful thing about interfaith spirituality. You know, when I was in college and my mom started coming out with her psychic gifts and talking a lot about her own metaphysical beliefs that she had had a great deal of her life, she got very involved in the New Age community. And I love my New Age community, so don't get me wrong. But she was under the impression that she would become a part of this community and still be allowed to be Christian because there were so many things. She called herself a Teachings of Christ Christian. So many things she loved about the teachings of Christ and respect she had for Christ as an incarnate human and as a spirit-bound being. But then she found there was pushback in that community for folks that believed in reincarnation, believed in crystals, believed in transcendental meditation, but still wanted to retain their love for the teachings of Christ. And in that, she saw that is what happens whenever you get a lot of human beings in one place, right? That there is nothing that is a safe haven for anyone. Most belief systems want you to stay within the belief system and believe those things and not bring your things from another belief system in the same way that if you went to a Catholic Mass on Christmas Eve and you brought your menorah to light your Hanukkah candles, there might be some looks. This is why I believe interfaith spirituality is the next level of evolution, because you can come. And you know what? Founders MCC, it's a great place. You want to come on Christmas Eve and bring your dreidel, no one's going to look at you twice. It's about all of us relating together, not giving up our spirituality, not everybody becomes the same hive mind belief system. Everybody's belief system is unique and different, just as each of us are unique and different. But that is what Spirit wants. I believe that God never intended for us to come here and conform to something at the exclusion of everything else, and then pick fights and wars and all kinds of things that have been done in the name of that. That is of man. That's not of Spirit. Spirit thinks of each of us as an individual on an individual path, right? That would be like if you were in a math class and you pulled out a calculator and the teacher said, oh, did you bring enough calculators for everyone? Then you can't have one. If everyone decides they don't want a calculator, you're not allowed to have one in this class. There are some religions that will tell you that is what God wants. God wants you to not have anything unless everybody else has the same thing. But that's not what God wants. God looks at us all as individuals. And each of us are on a journey. We each have gifts that we're given. We each have challenges and obstacles to overcome. We're using our gifts, hopefully, to overcome our obstacles. And we are loved by God, loved by Spirit, loved by every entity in the universe. They're all rooting for us, right? They're like that character, that little guy from "You Can Do It" from the Adam Sandler movie. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's like. That's what the angelics are doing, and that's what the off-world spirits are doing, and that's what universe is doing, and that's what Spirit is doing. It's cheering and cheering and cheering and rah-rahing you all the way to do your best and be your best That's what it's about. It's not about you have to do what everyone else is doing or you fail. It's about being a loving, participative, open soul that is working to learn all of their lessons and do what they have to do in order to make this life the most spiritually fulfilling and to be the most productive person that you can be for the world, right? Because we're not just here for ourselves. We're also here helping other people. We're also here doing other things because we're not just given a path when we come. We're not just given gifts when we come. We're not just given obstacles and challenges when we come. We're also given service. Everybody has a service, and everyone's service benefits everyone else. And that's why underneath the tent, the interfaith spirituality tent, we should all be getting along and melding our energies together, not giving up our individuality, but using our individuality to benefit ourselves and others' individualities, and not thinking of anything as us and them, but only as we. That is such a very important thing to know. And I think that it's very different from what a lot of people grew up with in their own religions. And I have nothing against religion. I love religions. I go to everyone's church. As a matter of fact, I'm down here in the house I grew up in, remodeling my mom's house and going through her stuff to make it a residence for me. And a couple of weeks ago, these lovely guys that I don't know, that I met on a wonderful app called Nextdoor, which is where you find out what's going on in your neighborhood, gifted me a beautiful King James Bible, because I don't have everything down here. Most of the stuff's at my LA house. And I have some of my spiritual stuff here, but not a lot. And I don't want to bring a lot down until after the remodel is done, because it just seems like more packing in boxes, right? It's our whole life is packing and unpacking boxes. Spiritually, emotionally, physically, we never stop. So they said, come by. We've got a Bible for you. And I came by and met these two lovely elders. They're probably like in high school or college. They're darling. And they brought me this beautiful leather-bound King James Bible. I put it in my mother's favorite chest in the hall. And then a couple weeks later, they said, if you ever want a Book of Mormon, let us know. And I thought, I'm an interfaith pastor and I've never read the Book of Mormon. So I called them up and I said, I would love a Book of Mormon. And I went by and I saw them and they gave me one. And I'm going to read that. I have so many things here. I do have a menorah. I have things that are pagan. I have Buddha. I'm looking at a Ganesh from the Hindu religion right now. I have a Hansa from the Jewish religion. I have I have a UFO for people who believe that aliens are God. I try to have everything, because everything represents someone. Now, I don't just have everything to have it. I pick and choose some things that I like to display. And then I have an area where I have all different kinds of holy books, because I want to know what I'm talking about. When someone comes to me as a pastor and says, this is how I grew up, this is what I want to talk about, I want to know what I'm talking about. It doesn't mean I'm converting to Mormonism. It doesn't mean I'm becoming Orthodox Jewish. It doesn't mean I'm becoming Hindu. It doesn't mean I'm becoming anything. Yet I have the ability to be all of those things. I'll tell you a great story. I'm at this party last night for Long Beach Pride. And there's this lovely person sitting next to me, dressed in a beautiful top and skirt. And I thought that when we introduced ourselves to each other, that she told me her name was Rachel. But there was a lot of loud music playing, and sometimes I don't work so great with the loud music. So later, as this lovely person was leaving the club, I said, I'm so sorry, did you tell me your name was Rachel? And he said, no, my name is Josh. And I said, okay. And, hi, Josh. And he said, I'm not trans. I'm just a man in a dress. And I said, great. But isn't that nice that we can decide what we are? If you're a man and you want to wear a dress, it doesn't make you trans anything. It doesn't make you transgender. It doesn't make you a transvestite. It doesn't make you anything except what you identify to be. And your spirituality is the same way. I'm an intersex person, which means chromosomally, I'm in the middle. I like being a woman. I identify as female. I became more of a woman when I discovered I was intersex because I didn't have to fight the fact that I felt so different. I'm a girl and I like my she, her pronouns. And that's okay because that's how I identify. Your spirituality is the same. You decide how you identify and you decide what that means. You can be a Protestant with a crucifix. I'm an Irish Protestant. I have a rosary that I love. It's in this little, it's beautiful. It has 3 different colored green beads and a Celtic cross. It's in a little white stone box with a Celtic cross etched on the top. I got it at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. And I was raised as Irish Protestant as the day is long. Was never a Catholic. My father was an ex-Catholic. So there was a very, Catholic weirdness when I was little. I love it. I love my rosary. I love crucifixes. I love anything that represents God. Because your connection to spirit is everything. And that brings me to what we're talking about tonight, which is you are not alone. I have this joke with my nephew. He doesn't believe in Bigfoot. And we always say to him, well, Bigfoot believes in you. It's you, however you identify with God, whatever you think. Even if you think, some people think it's because of something they did. I did a bad thing and God deserted me. Some people think they're just have been left behind or God's forgotten about them or for some reason they're being cursed or damned or I hear all this stuff from my clients all the time. Why does God hate me? Why isn't God around? And it reminds me of when I tell my nephew, Bigfoot believes in you, Daryl. Just because you believe you're alone, it doesn't mean you're alone. And you're never alone because you always have spirit with you. God is with you every step of the way. And sometimes I believe that the universe gets very frustrated and wants to tell us, like, please, there should be a meme that God sends us every holy day, whether your holy day is Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, that says, please stop listening to people and only listen to me. Because when people get scared, right? Fear is a virus. It's like COVID. When people get scared, and if they have the type of personality that starts to think the worst, then they believe that everything is bad. And they believe they have been left behind by God. So then they'll tell you, oh yeah, God's left us behind. God doesn't give a flying fahooly if you live or die. If either it's, you can't, God doesn't love you unless you do X, Y, and Z, which usually breaks down to you belonging to some man-made establishment or following some book that was written by whoever. Or God doesn't love you unless you act a certain way, you are a certain way. Or sometimes it's just, they kind of just have this sort of fatalistic, like, hey man, sometimes God just blows you off. That is fear inside of a person. And that fear is translating to you. They are literally dumping their fear on you. My friend has a wonderful expression that some people have leaky energy, she calls it. And she means that some people, their energy leaks out of them and into you. Now, if they're in a great mood, then you get like this lovely, bubbly, golden energy, and it's wonderful. If they're in a bad mood, they're literally spewing their energy everywhere. You see it on Facebook sometimes, right? You pass a post on Facebook and you're like, whoo, this person, I'm going to just keep scrolling. Sometimes people have leaky energy of fear. So if they become fearful because something has happened in their life that they didn't like, then they pass that on to you. And they start telling you, well, you know what? This is what happens when God leaves you in the ditch. You've just been forgotten about. And then your fear kicks in and you think, oh my God, I've been abandoned and I'm alone. But you're not alone. And you are never alone. Because God is always with you. 100% of the time, God is with you. There's never a time. Because spirit never sleeps. And if it does and we don't know about it, if they do sleep, then someone else kicks in and takes over. And it's like in shifts. There is never a time when you will reach out to spirit and they will not be paying attention. Now, they don't always jump when, they only say hi, how high when you say jump. But sometimes that's because there's a lesson for you to learn. But they are always there. God is always there. And God is always listening. It's so interesting now because we have the pronoun thing, right? So people are starting to refer to God as they, them. Because, we decide now not to give God a gender, which is lovely. But I've always referred to God as they, them. Because to me, the energy is not singular. It's multiple. It's omnipotent. It's a force. There's a lot of energy going on in there. It's not like some old guy on a cloud is mad because you're gay or whatever you supposedly did that was so horrible. And he's going to punish you. That's it. You don't get into heaven. You're a bad person. I'm sending you to hell and you'll learn your lesson. When you cultivate your personal relationship with God, that's not at all what it feels like. It's not some nasty old man that's mad at you all the time. Or like Mother Nature, right? It's Mother Nature. Remember those commercials when we were kids it's not nice to mess with Mother Nature. They were like butter commercials or something. If you did something wrong, like you called the butter margarine or something, Mother Nature got mad. This idea that if you make Mother Nature mad, she's going to bring a tornado or a hurricane or she's going to smote the earth. It's like the Old Testament. I love my Old Testament. There's some great lessons in there. God's always smoting the earth, right? We as human beings, we have picked up this ideology of our higher power that he or she is always mad. Look, there are horrible, heinous things that people do. And I'm not telling you that spirit doesn't sometimes be like, talk to the hand with this behavior. This did not come from us. But the idea of our path here, right? We're here to have a wonderful human experience and at the same time learn spiritual lessons. So you're not going to sign up for school, right? And then you get to class one day and the college campus is abandoned and there's no teachers and there's no administrators and there's no books and you're sitting in an empty classroom and somebody just says like, oh, well, sorry, tough. The college abandoned you. It's not like that. And it's not like that as we learn our lessons either. I noticed last night, it was one of my first times being in a place with a lot of people since COVID. So I didn't have all my screens and filters up I normally put up so everyone's energy doesn't hit me like a ton of bricks. And I noticed that a lot of people were lonely. They were in a room of, 200 people, yet they felt so lonely. And that's why I think I got this message to do this today, this message, this sermon today. I just wanted to walk up to every single one of them and put my hands on them and say, you are not alone. You're not alone. If you have not already, you will find a human tribe that loves you. Our animal companions are here to love us. Spirit is here to love us. We always have Spirit with us, and we are never alone. And if you're never alone, then you don't have to be lonely. And I think sometimes, there's that physics property, right? I talk about it in my spiritual teaching all the time. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. So if you push a ball, that ball is going to keep rolling, usually. But if the ball just sits there and you don't touch it, it's going to sit there. It's the same way with your energy, right? Work begets work. Movement begets movement. If I decide to wake up in the morning and focus only on my house, do my dishes, do the laundry, unpack some stuff, usually my phone with clients will be very quiet. If I get up in the morning and I say, I would like clients today, and I put a meme up on social media that I like, and I meditate and have a conversation with Spirit, then my phone starts blowing up with clients. It's that way with the level of loneliness in your life, right? Thoughts are things. If you are constantly telling yourself, I'm going to be lonely, I'm going to be lonely, I'm not going to have any friends, God has abandoned me, nobody loves me, you are inadvertently alienating yourself from people. You're putting a shell around you that says, nobody loves me. I'm not going to have any friends. See, Spirit is like a mirror. God can be very literal. When you deal with God and angels and those that make up the universe, it's not all the deception and the games and the lies and the weird things that people do. It's very direct. So if I'm in a relationship and it ends, right? And all I say to myself every day is, she's never coming back, she's never coming back, she's never coming back. And then she never comes back. Well, what did you just tell universe? You just said she's never coming back, and universe is like, okay. When you are saying to yourself over and over again, I'm always going to be alone, I'm never going to have friends, God doesn't love me, I'm not worthy of being loved, I'm always going to be isolated. You are saying these things, and you're saying them as little anxiety tidbits of fear. But Spirit, God, is reading those as your proclamations. You're saying, I'm never going to be in a relationship. I'm never going to have friends. I'm always going to be alone. I'm never going to have the support of Spirit. And God's kind of like, okay, that wasn't what we had planned, but that seems to be what you want, and we gave you all free will. So, okay. Do you see how thoughts are things? How we can sometimes adversely affect our lives by proclaiming a false truth that isn't even what we wanted. We want the opposite. We want love and friends and companionship and to feel connected to God and to the world. But out of fear, we are making declarations about our life. And we are driving away what would naturally come. The way that God has designed for us to live is not alone, is not without love, is not without companionship, is not without family. That's not how we're supposed to live. We're not supposed to. That's why there's so many memes all over the world about chosen family. For folks like me that either never had a family or folks who had a family they didn't resonate with. My best friend has a plaque in her bathroom that says, friends are the family you pick for yourself. I love it. I see it every time I go to the bathroom. Now, every time I have to go to the bathroom, I think about that. And I go, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. And friends are the family you pick for yourself. You have to remember that if that wasn't important, if family wasn't important, if friends weren't important, if love wasn't important, if companionship wasn't important, then we wouldn't have this need, this yearn for it that we have. Because that's part of the beautiful human experience that God wants us to have. That's part of it. Human beings don't need a lot. We need the basics, right? We need food, water, shelter. Emotionally and spiritually, we need to love and be loved. We need to know we have a purpose, i.e. a service. And we need to know that we make a difference somehow in the world, that it's all about something. It's all for something. These are the things that Spirit readily provides for us, but sometimes we block it out, right? We don't notice it. Spirit's like, I'm on the path. Here's my hand. All you have to do is come to the path and hold my hand. We'll walk you down the path. You don't even have to do it on your own. And we're in a corner going, oh, God hates me and Spirit doesn't love me. That's it. I'm eating a worm cocktail. I think sometimes Spirit must look at humanity and it's just like, it's just a constant facepalm. Because God's right here, trying to be accessible, trying to help you, trying to let you know all the time that you're not alone. You just need to hear that message. Right? I hope that's what you take with you today. And speaking of not being alone, help us to help you by donating to the church and to all the wonderful things that we do, to our beautiful Sunday services, our English-speaking service and our Spanish-speaking service with our senior pastor, Keith Mazingo, and our Spanish-speaking ministries pastor, Reverend Alejandro Escoto. My brothers in spirit, these two wonderful men. Well, Keith's a wonderful man and Alejandro's a wonderful human. I love these people. And then also there's online Bible study, and there's all kinds of work that we do for homeless folks and folks who need help. And so I always call donating help us to help you, and help us to help you to help others. Because some of those programs are going to directly benefit you. Some of those programs are going to benefit others, but you can know you help to benefit the others. So help us to help you, and help us to help you to help others. It's all part of connection. It's all part of that big tent we're all living under. It's all part of you being reconfirmed that you are not alone. If you go to foundersmcc.org, there is a place to donate. You can write in Saturday Night Spiritual and just let us know that we made a difference, that you enjoy Saturday Night Spiritual, that you want it to keep going. That there is a way that you can text your offering by going to 77977. Your keyword is Founders MCC. Help us to help you to help others. Be a part of something. You know, again, the teachings of Christ, community, connection, love. Those three things are all you need. Everything breaks down under those three things. If you have those three things, you will be a happy person. We're here the second Saturday of every month, here live on our Facebook page, Founders MCC, live at, and then we'll be at our YouTube page, also foundersmcc.org. You can find all the recaps of those places. You can also find the recaps at at SaturdayNightSpiritual.com and RevSheenaFoundersMCC.com. And you can find me everywhere on social media at Sheena Metal, and my website is SheenaMetalSpiritual.com. And if you go to SheenaMetalSpiritual.com, there's an area where there's a button that drops down and you'll see Interfaith Service. And if you click on that, you'll see all the information, and you'll find out more about Saturday Night Spiritual. Also, Founders MCC has a new app. It's in the App Store. Find Founders MCC LA. I'm going there right now to do that because I'm so excited to show it off. People like, look what my church has. We're in the App Store. So wonderful. You know that I always leave you with a poem. I will probably always do that. I love to do that. It started with always being an Irish prayer, and I think I did every one and ran out. This was written by Alexandra Vasilio, and I love it. Take heed, my friends. Take the short way back home, back to yourself, and seed these words deep down into your heart. You are never alone. Look up to the sky. There are millions of stars. Spreading hope every night. Look up to the sky and know you are never alone. I'm the Reverend Sheena Metal. This is Saturday Night Spiritual. I love you all, and I'll see you next month. Take care of you. Bless each other. Love each other. Relish your service and your passion, and know that you do it all with God's blessing and you are never alone. I'll see you next time, my friends. I love you.